What's New Massachusetts is brought to you by Community Credit Union, vibrant banking for a vibrant community, with branches in Lynn, Peabody, and a brand new location in Somerville's Davis Square. Visit myccu.org for more information. In this first edition of What's New Massachusetts, get into the holiday spirit with co-hosts Sam Baltrusis and Sharon Fillyaw as they spotlight some of the season's top events, including the spectacular Boston Winter event at City Hall Plaza, which includes an ice skating path, a holiday market, and other treats from jolly old St. Nick. Travel back in time with classic Diners of Massachusetts author and local expert Larry Cultrera, and chat with Father Christmas himself, Santa Claus, who will make a seasonal visit to the mall at Chestnut Hill. What's new for the holidays? Here are your co-hosts Sharon Fillyaw and Sam Baltrusis.
Hello and welcome to the premiere edition of What's New Massachusetts. My name is Sam Baltrusis. I'm an author and journalist. Joining me is my lovely co-host Sharon Fillyaw.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sharon. So what do you think of this new set?
I love it. It's nice and cozy, and the staff here is so accommodating. We're really having a great time. I love it.
So this show is going statewide, and we've come a long way.
We have. We've worked so well together, and we have so many more things to explore and discover. I'm really excited about it.
So now we're going to go the entire state of Massachusetts.
Wow. Do you think you can handle it? Can you handle it?
I don't know. Like with you and I out, we're always like on the hunt for chocolate. And
exactly. And food. As long as there's food, I'm fine. But this is really exciting. You know, Massachusetts has so much to offer, and us together, we can kind of share that with all of our viewers.
I'm excited about going outside, because we're based in Somerville now.
Yes.
So maybe see some of the locations in Somerville, and then maybe even go even further out, like maybe go North Shore, even Central Mass.
Absolutely, and there's so much history in Massachusetts. All over Concord, Lincoln, so much history to share. There's so much to learn.
So this is our December edition of What's New.
Yes, that's
we
right.
have lots of things to talk about. There's a lot of cool events. We're going to list all the events in Massachusetts that we recommend at the end of the show. But what are some of the things that you're excited about this year for Christmas?
Well, they're actually building a really nice attraction at City Hall Plaza, an ice skating rink attraction, kind of akin to the Wallman Rink in Central Park and Bryant Park, where people can come and skate and experience winter. They're going to have chalets there. You know, a lot of things. So I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing it. How about you?
I'm excited about it. It's called Boston Winter at City Hall Plaza. It starts December 2nd, lasts all the way until February.
Wow, that's a long time.
So we actually were invited to go out there and to record. Are you an ice skater?
No. Do you know how to skate, Sam?
I learned when I was really young.
Me too.
I'm more like a roller boogie, roller skating kind of guy.
Perhaps we just put the skates on and kind of stand in one place. What do you think? Maybe we can do that.
Well, just put me on skates and just push me.
Just go like that. Yeah, that's about right.
So our guests today are pretty awesome. We have Larry Cultrera, who was on our other show, What's New Malden, and he's talking about his book about diners.
Yes, and I'm going to prod him a little bit about the trivia of the diners, which is my favorite.
Ooh.
Yep.
And we also have the big guy himself, Santa Claus. Santa Claus
I saw him. I'm so excited. I have so much to ask for.
So, people don't know this, but I actually work with Santa Claus. I am his manager, and he is at the mall at Chestnut Hill. So definitely looking forward to another great season with Santa Claus. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we're to expect at the mall at Chestnut Hill. And hopefully we can give our list for Santa, what we want for Christmas.
I have a long list. What about you, Sam?
I want to have literally to help the homeless population, because I feel like that this is going to be a tough winter.
Yes.
And I'm going to introduce a documentary that I'm working on called Voices of Homeless that gives a voice to the homeless community.
Indeed, and that's the ultimate voice of journalism, to give the voice to those who cannot speak for themselves, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're going to roll our first clip. It's the previous interview we had with Larry Cultrera about his book, Classic Diners in Massachusetts. Joining me now is the expert on local diners, Larry Cultrera. Backstory, like what led you to write about diners?
Well, the writing was way down the road from my initial interest, so to speak. I was interested in diners from the time I was a little kid, probably 4 or 5 years old. My dad actually told me about diners and that they were prefabricated restaurants. They looked somewhat like railroad cars, but they were not railroad cars or converted railroad cars. And so I knew this from a young age, and I was very observant when I went on rides in and around the greater Boston area, and I noticed all the diners that we had at that time in the late 50s, early 60s. And of course, as time went on, they started to disappear. And by around 1980, I was getting into photography. I started photographing diners as a documentation type of a thing. And in the process, 36 years later, I've photographed over 860 diners.
Wow.
I started writing a regular column for the Society for Commercial Archaeology, a national organization dealing with roadside businesses and attractions and whatnot. And I wrote the first ever regular column called Diner Hotline for them for around 18 years. I retired that in 2007 and started my blog right after that, which is called Diner Hotline as well. And the books came about because of the blog, actually.
So actually, Larry writes for the same publishing house that I do, which is History Press, now Arcadia.
Yes.
And our original commissioning editors were the same, Jeff Saraceno.
Yes.
So he wrote his first book, Classic Diners in Massachusetts, is what led me to the publisher. So I was like, I love that cover. I saw it at the Rosebud Diner in Somerville, and I'm like, I have to work with this publishing house. So thank you for writing that initial book.
Here we are now with Mr. Larry Cultrera, the author of Classic Diners of Massachusetts. Thank you, Larry, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we talked a little bit before we came on. Now, you have a few favorite diners in Massachusetts. Why don't you tell us about a few of them?
Well, I set up the book, the chapters in geographical areas. So, every area, the greater Boston area has, say, the South Street Diner, 24-hour diner in downtown Boston. We have right here in Somerville, Massachusetts, we have Kelly's Diner. We also have Buddy's Diner right down the street. We do have the Rosebud in Davis Square. Unfortunately, I wouldn't classify that as a diner per se anymore.
Why?
Current ownership destroyed the interior of it. So,
Oy.
the exterior looks great, but the interior is not diner-like. So, that being said, I hear great things about the food.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not going to tell anybody not to go.
Right.
But if you're looking for a classic diner, the interior is not classic anymore.
Well, the interior kind of makes the diner experience.
Oh, I think so. It needs a counter and stools, and that one does not have it anymore.
It does. Now let's get to the good part. Now, I love trivia. Now, we were talking about some classic movies that have used diners in some of the scenes. The movie Goodfellas, which was based out of the New York, the La Cosa Nostra, Metropolitan New York, and there were two diners. Can you tell us about those?
Well, one of them now currently goes by the name Goodfellas Diner, but I don't recall what its original name was.
Right.
That was a sort of a late 60s, early 70s diner, a large one. And there were a couple of good scenes there, but they also had scenes in the airline diner, also known as Jackson Hole.
And that was by LaGuardia.
Yeah, right
with the
on
big
Astoria Boulevard, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And now you mentioned, I know before the movie The Blob, the Downingtown Diner, which no longer exists.
No, the diner that was in that movie was replaced by a newer diner a few years after that.
Right.
And that diner is actually still on site, although I'm not even sure it's operating right now.
Right.
Nobody seems to know what happened to the old Downingtown.
Oh, it must be somewhere.
But there's some great old there's at least one oold postcard of it. I used to have it in the collection, but I traded it to a good friend, so I don't have that anymore.
Wow.
But the Downingtown Diner, great old diner. That was a great movie, a real campy sort of, I wouldn't call it sci-fi.
Right.
It was semi-horror movie, but it was fun. It was Steve McQueen's first movie, in fact.
That's right.
So, but it was great when the diner came into view at the end. The Blob tried to
That always frightens me. Now I'm going to ask you, you've been doing this for such a long time.
Yes.
Where do you see the trajectory for your discovery of new diners? Where do you see it taking you?
Well, it's pretty much leveled off now. I'm basically trying to continue blogging with my blog, Diner Hotline. Uh, I'm also currently scanning all the slides and photos I've taken in the last 36 years.
Oh, that must be quite the task.
It is. I'm only partially done with that.
Oh, I
But
bet.
I'm having fun doing that because I'm looking at pictures I haven't really seen in a long time.
Right.
And in fact, even some that I've scanned recently, I haven't really looked at them closely until I've scanned them, and in fact, a few this weekend. And I said, "Oh, this is great! These came out fantastic for 1986. They're nice shots. There's my old van. I didn't know it was in the shot. That
Right.
type of thing. So it's fun to revisit and sort of remember these diner trips that I was on back in the 80s. So I mean, going on 36 years.
Well, in those 36 years, let me ask you this. That's sort of part of the diner experience. Have you met anyone in your travels that has really stood out, that brings back a really special memory?
There's a lot of memories. Let me tell you. I mean, I've been interviewed for local TV like this, but I've actually been on CBS Sunday Morning. I've been in Smithsonian Magazine, but we've met a lot of different people over the years. The people I consider my mentors were the guys who were the initial people bringing out books back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Wow.
And in fact, two of them, John Bader, a noted artist and photographer, put out the first book called Diners. He wrote the foreword for my New Hampshire diner book. And Richard Gutman, who's considered the foremost authority on the history of diners, did the foreword for my first book. So,
Do you think that diners will ever die out? Do you think that there will always be a place for diners?
I hope so. I really do. I mean, there was a huge resurgence in popularity from the 1980s through the 90s into the 2000s. It seemed to be leveled off a bit, but I've always contended it doesn't matter if a diner tries to trade on the 50s nostalgia thing or whatever. What they really need to do is provide good food at a good price and excellent service.
And what I think is most important um, is that is that the experience that you have when you're there. You just feel good, you feel comfortable, and I think that's what's most important.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll always make it a part of Americana.
For sure.
So, Larry, Christmas is coming up. Do you have any suggestions for our viewers about which diners to go to that maybe serve hot cider and they decorate maybe this whole Christmas experience?
Well, I do know the Capitol Diner in Lynn used to go all out. I'm not sure they
Really?
do that anymore with the decorations, but at one time they used to have the whole front yard of the diner all
The
decorated.
entire front yard. Did they have Santa Claus in there? What did they have in there?
I don't know because it was many years ago that I remember them doing it, but I think they've since not done it. But they used to be famous for having real live chickens in the yard and stuff. So.
Oh, that's a bit much.
But
Sounds like fun.
But that wasn't just for Christmas. They actually had a rooster that used to crow first thing in the morning.
Oh my goodness, wake everyone up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Larry. Next up, coming up, we have a clip on the Charles Rochetrain store in Malden.
Business began in 1972. It started in Glendale Square in Everett. My father was a hairdresser. He had 4 beauty shops at the time. He decided that he liked Lionel trains as a hobby, decided to start a little business in front of the beauty shop. So we started with a few display cases in the front of the Everett beauty shop, and then it grew into its own business. Then I came into business in 1980. So we got my dad, my mom, my wife, and myself. We all run the business together as a family. Well, our family grew up in Malden. We're part of the Tricker family at Tricker's Restaurant. Been back in the 60s and 70s, and Tricker family is well known in Malden. My mother grew up in Edgeworth, so we decided to move from Everett to Malden in 1979. We just found a great place to come, and great, it was pro-business at the time. A trip back in time, it's like going back in time to the 1900s. You see the steam engines with the wheels moving, and you can only imagine the size, the sounds. You got the whistles going, you got the smoke coming out, there's a lot of action. It intrigues the kids because it's got so much motion. Things happen, and it's a motion thing, and you got to see them run. You can't look at them in a box. You have to go to a store and see them run, then you get excited. There's something about a train. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's something about the sound of a train, the motion, maybe just going on the track, going back and forth a little. So maybe it's all that together. It kind of makes you feel good.
Welcome back to What's New Massachusetts. Again, my name is Sam Baltrusis. Joining me is Santa Claus.
Oh,
hey, Santa
hi,
Claus. So Santa Claus and I actually work together at the mall at Chestnut Hill. We've done it for 3 years or so, and we have lots of things planned this year. It's kind of exciting. So Santa, we have Caring Santa coming up on December 4th, and then we have the pet night. How does Santa deal with pets?
Oh, Santa loves pets. I always have a good time sitting with all the different dogs and cats.
Santa is great with the pets, and we have December 11th is the pet night at the mall at Chestnut Hill. Take the Green Line. It's at the mall. It's right by Bloomingdale's. We have so many things. Like, this is our 3rd year at that mall specifically, and we're looking for it's kind of like a boutique experience as opposed to like the long lines that we normally have when we're waiting for Santa Claus. So I'm really grateful to be working with Santa Claus again this year. So Santa, I have a couple things I'm looking for this year. I'm actually, because this show's going statewide, so give me some good mojo for this show. Hopefully it'll do well throughout the season. And then I'm also working on a network for Boston's homeless population. It's a documentary project that I'm working on, hopefully to give back to the community that I've worked with in the past. And I'm hoping, since the post-election and just things in general, that this will be a better year for them and for families who are homeless. So, well, Santa, what do you want for Christmas?
Love and peace and joy for the whole world.
That's a good answer.
We need that, Santa just tries to be a beacon of light and spread the love.
Yeah. And my co-host Sharon has a list of things she wants too. And what do you tell people when they give you a list of things that they're wanting for Christmas?
We'll see what Santa can do.
It's always a good answer. And I'm always sitting there when they have the kids with a long list what they want for Christmas. And Santa's answer is, we'll see what we can do this year for Christmas. So speaking of that homeless documentary, we have a clip of the homeless documentary. It's called Voices of Homeless with James Shearer.
We need to stand side by side, all of us. That has never been more important than now. It has been proven time and time again. When we stand together, we have been known to do great things. This is the time. So tonight, before we all go to bed, pray, cry, shout, be angry, be sad. Think of those you love, the ones who need us. Remember we fight for them. Remember that they count on us. Remember that we must not be pushed aside, and that we won't allow others to be pushed, to be thrown away. Take a deep breath. We may be sad today, but tomorrow we rise because we need to. We rise because we have to. We rise because we want to. We rise because we're going to be all right.
Welcome back to What's New Massachusetts. Again, my name is Sam Baltrusis, and joining me, of course, is my lovely co-host, Sharon. That was a great show, Sharon.
It was. It's a lot of fun. And we had Santa Claus, which is
Claus.
always super special. And we actually talked about a lot. And we spoke to Larry Cultrera. And I know I love the trivia with the diners. But I'm looking forward to learning a lot more about what Massachusetts has to offer.
We have a busy year in store for us, Sharon.
Yes, we do. We have a lot to learn, a lot of people to speak to. And you had a list for Santa, but you didn't ask me.
Well, I'm thinking that maybe we can bring Santa back on the set. Santa? Sharon's going to tell you what she wants for Christmas.
Santa, I have a list. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First of all, I want champagne flowing in a jacuzzi. Can you do that?
We'll see what Santa can do.
And then I want a trip to Las Vegas. And then I want a big car, maybe a Lexus. And I want a mink coat. And I want a big basket of chocolate.
You have quite a list.
I do. I have more. Do you want to hear?
I don't think we have time.
Yes, you do. I want some Louboutin shoes, 10 pair, please. Let's see. And another shopping spree in New York. And I've got a lot more. Maybe I can continue this later.
I think you better.
Yeah.
We'll see what Santa can do for all those wishes.
Okay, Santa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Well, that was a great impromptu visit by Santa.
It was.
I mean, stop on by the Mall at Chestnut Hill. We're going to be working together for the next month or so, all the way up until December 24th at the Mall at Chestnut Hill.
That sounds like fun.
And you can go shopping at Bloomie's and get all your gifts.
Yeah, I've been to that mall before. It's a very nice, cozy. It's not a big mall, but it's a nice, cozy mall. It's great for families and mommies and daddies to bring their children in. Go shopping and then, and see Santa and have some fun.
And I love it because Santa, like last year, they had a Hanukkah event and he was dancing with the rabbi. So it's like, well,
I love it.
You never know what Santa's going to do at the mall.
That's right.
So this show, we have lots in store for us this year. What are some things like areas that you want to go to with the show, What's New Massachusetts?
Well, I love history. I've always been a history buff. I would be interested in maybe exploring some of the historical aspects of Massachusetts, like, maybe visiting places where historical events have occurred, things like that. I'm really interested because Massachusetts has so much to offer.
Well, speaking of history, I actually write history books for a living. They're ghost books with history.
You do everything.
I know. So I have actually a copy of my book, Con in Boston Harbor, for you. That's your Christmas gift.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited.
So, can we get the book? So,
thank you so
delivered
much.
by Santa Claus. Yay.
Yes, and I'm just so amazed that you just have the time. You work so much. You work so hard. But I've heard so many good things about this book, and I look forward to reading it. I look forward to it. It's like a lot of fun. I hope I don't get too frightened. I hope I can sleep after I read
Well, as we talked about last season, we had people read ghost stories on Christmas Eve. It's sort of a tradition.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh! After our Halloween, a little thing on USS Salem, that kind of spooked me a little bit. But I'm looking forward to reading more stories in this wonderful book.
Well, I'm looking forward to the restaurants throughout Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
I love chowder. I love seafood, and maybe going throughout Massachusetts and finding the best chowder in Massachusetts.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Oh my God, because I love to eat. Don't like to cook. I love to eat though.
So we have our picks for Christmas. There's a whole list of 10 things that we picked for December. So it was great seeing you, and happy holidays, Sharon.
Happy holidays, Sam, and you have a great time and have a safe holiday season.
You too.
Same to you too.
And see you next year, 2017.
Bye.
Bye.
Santa. I have a list. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. First of all, I want champagne flowing in a jacuzzi. Can you do that?
We'll see what Santa can do.
And then I want a trip to Las Vegas. And then I want a big car, maybe a Lexus. And I want a mink coat. And I want a big basket of chocolate.
You have quite a list.
I do. I have more. Do you want to hear?
I don't think we have time.
Yes, you do. I want some Louboutin shoes, 10 pair, please. Let's see. And another shopping spree in New York. And I've got a lot more. Maybe I can continue this later.
I think you better.
Yeah.
We'll see what Santa can do for all those wishes.
Okay, Santa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Business began in 1972. It started in Glendale Square in Everett. My father was a hairdresser. He had 4 beauty shops at the time. He decided that he liked Lionel trains as a hobby, decided to start a little business in front of the beauty shop. So we started with a few display cases in the front of the Everett beauty shop, and then it grew into its own business. Then I came to the business in 1980. So we got my dad, my mom, my wife, and myself. We all run the business together as a family. Well, our family grew up in Malden. We're part of the Tricker family at Tricker's Restaurant back in the 60s and 70s, and the Tricker family is well known in Malden. My mother grew up in Edgeworth, so we decided to move from Everett to Malden in 1979. We just found a great place to come, and great, it was pro-business at the time. A trip back in time, it's like going back in time to the 1900s. You see the steam engines with the wheels moving, and you can only imagine the size, the sound.